Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals. Welcome to game 2 of this best of 3. It's from the Go for SC2 monthly finals and it's between two sensational players. So let's get straight into this and introduce them. In the top right position we have the orange Zerg player from Team Acer, Bly. And his opponent down in the bottom left, the red Protoss from NRS, Welmu. So, game 1, did you see it? No? Then what are you doing here, bro? Pause this video, flick over to my channel and find game 1. Give it a watch. It was swish, it was on Neoplanet S, and you do not want to miss that. So, yeah, game 1, good. The winner was, of course, Mr. Bly here. So he's 1-0 up in this best of 3, which means Welmu, he wants to level out this series. He's got to pull out all of those stops to try and win like a boss. So can he do it? Hopefully. I really hope he can, because I want to see game 3, because these two are sensational. And 3 games is obviously a lot better than just 2 games, because it's more StarCraft, and more StarCraft's what? Good! Good, obviously, each and every one of you. How could you not like it? Seriously, some people. Anyway, probe, scouting, being like, herped up. Good, glad to see that you don't have a spawning pool yet. You're not trying to kill me with a temple or something. Just because you're a game up does not mean you have to cheese me. It also means that on daybreak, Welmu can go for a Nexus first. Oh yeah, he can do that, but he's not going to. He's going to go for a Forge first. Even though he's clearly seen that this spawning pool was down at a very safe time, and this rush distance is huge, he's playing it safe. He's also potentially playing the option of the cannon rush. Bum bum bum. He might do. He might not. It could just be a safe option, let's face it, because in game 1 we did of course see Welmu come up against an awful lot of Zerglings early on from Bly. Namely 6 of them. After the hatchery was done, as soon as the spawning pool finished, which was far more than you're used to dealing with, and it nearly caused Welmu a few problems. But luckily, he dealt with it well. The hatchery is coming down now. But yet again, these 6 Zerglings are on the way. So, I'm going to be honest with you. Welmu, he's got that sick game sense that clearly I don't have, when I was like, maybe he should go Nexus first, and instead he's like, he's gonna send 6lings at me again. I just know it. And here they come. So this just means that Welmu has got to complete the wall off. He's got his cannon already half done. Now definitely 100,000 million% be completed by the time these Zerglings get over here, as we can see. But can he complete the rest of the wall off? He's got to just come and sit the probe in a nice little safe place, potentially throw down a pylon as well. The option is there if you need to, if you feel a little bit cautious, but obviously with these 2 Zerglings here, that means that there's only 4 coming to attack, and 4 Zerglings will not get through that probe before the photon cannon kills the vast majority of them, and they'd be effectively useless. So not something that I see Bly doing, but that means that it's good news for Welmu, because if 6 Zerglings have come out, and they're only going to succeed in killing a single probe, that means the Bly is behind. It's 4 minutes 30, and there is no sign of a 3rd hatchery. Delaying that for 6 Zerglings that do nothing is not very effective, and that goes without saying, and it really doesn't work that well. And therefore, what we need to see is Bly really do something cool. He's gone for this gas yet again really early on. Probably going to get it for speed, I would expect. He could also go for some roaches, it's a possibility, and just try and put on some pressure. But ultimately, this delays the 3rd so far. And while I did in game 1 say that that was a bit of a problem, but it was fine on Neoplanet S, on daybreak I'm not so shocked, because this 3rd is super easy to take. And there's no real reason not to, and no advantage when your opponent's got such a beautiful little wall off here for getting speed. You get the map awareness, but what are you going to stop exactly? Not too much. Nothing that you couldn't have stopped anyway if you just got your 3rd out first. So now there's a probe just coming in going, okay, he hasn't taken his 3rd again. He's doing exactly the same build that he went for in game 1. Will he be rushing out some Hydralists, going for that Ling Hydra approach with the 1-1 upgrades? Maybe. Will he get his 3rd down in the next couple of seconds? Probably around the 6-minute mark, 6-minute 30. If you get it much later than that, you are going to run into problems, especially when Welmu is already matching you on the work account. You definitely want to stay a base up, get more economy than your opponent as Zerg. That goes pretty much in the golden handbook, written in a tablet of the 10 commandments of playing Zerg in StarCraft. That being a base up is always what you want. But Bly, he's so good that he can sometimes ignore these commandments and go for something special, something magical, like getting a lair before his 3rd in a ZVP. So, what does this mean? We're probably going to be seeing those Hydras again. Almost certainly. It's the only viable thing to be doing. But the difference this game is that we don't have a Stargate coming out yet from Welmu. He's getting his +1 out, and that's a lot earlier than we saw in the first game. He's getting his 3rd and 4th gas, which can be seen by this Overlord. Hey, Mr. Overlord Vision. He can see that they're all the way coming down. And this just means that the options available to Welmu are slightly limited. If we look at the vision, actually, he hasn't seen that this forge is researching anything. So that's something that Bly could do with seeing. The Stargate is now on its way down, though. So while the aim is still going to be the same, obviously, +1 is going to be done a lot sooner. And that's making me think, actually, that there's the possibility it may not be Phoenix. It could actually be a Void Ray and going for some kind of timing push with a couple of units, with that robotic facility and some Void Rays. But again, there's also the option that it will just be Phoenix again to try and do some damage. But the build from Bly, pretty much identical. He's got his Hydrogen, he's got his double evolution chamber once more. And this just ultimately results in a situation where we're going to be seeing somewhat of a repeat of Game 1, just on a different map. The hallucinated Phoenix on its way through, just going to get some scouting information off, try and work out what's happening at his opponent's base. The 3rd is only just done at 8 minutes 20. That's so ridiculously late. Here's 4 additional gateways. We do have the Phoenix coming out. That's just going to come down here and kill the Overlord. And if more Phoenix followed up, that's what I'm really looking for. And ooh, the rally point has been changed just to come and check around the back here. That's good. And there's going to be more Phoenix coming out. Yet again, the robotics bay coming out down, so that just leaves the option open for the Colossi. A little bit of creep generation of the 3rd, preventing Welmu taking an early 3rd like we saw in Game 1. But these Hydras, what are they going to be able to do? Well, quite a lot is the simple answer to that question, because with only some Phoenix out and a few gateway units, Hydras are really going to wreck through all of that, especially the 1-1 upgrades. Muscular Augment's getting researched before Groove Spines yet again by Bly. That's going to allow him to be more aggressive. He could potentially try and start for that creep highway again. He doesn't spread creep, but rather just joins his bases up with the Overlords, which is a nice little trick. He has got supply block by losing a couple of these Overlords. Going to get supply block once again now, but does get a pretty good read off of everything. Really, he sees the robotics bay, he knows precisely what's coming down, sees how many gateways are here, knows that this is really now a bit of a 2-base all-in. 6 gates, a robotics facility and a Stargate. You can't produce much more than that. You can try and take a 3rd, but you're going to be going for a lot of aggression. You've spent a lot of money, your 3rd is really quite delayed, and therefore it's a big investment. Now, Bly yet again getting a Spire. I love this positioning of the Spire. It's so well defended, specifically from Zealot harassment. There's only about that much area that a Zealot could attack in, so smart Sim City out of Bly. He may go yet again for those Mutalisks in order to get some good harassing damage done. It worked really well for him in the first game. Another Overlord getting picked off here, meaning that a 3rd base could get taken, but with all the scouting information and seeing how many gates and all the tech coming down, and now 2 additional gateways, this is, yeah, really aggressive out of Welmu. And the only thing that could potentially throw Bly off is seeing that obviously the Overlord got taken out, and he might go, well, if the Overlord was killed, perhaps he is going to go for a 3rd, maybe, possibly. And if he does fall for that, then it could be a bit of a problem. But it all comes down to what Bly does next. If he tries to take a 4th quickly, which we can see he's now doing, as well as this macro hatch, he is committing quite a lot to tech and economy. And this quick push could throw him off guard, but really smart by Welmu actually chucking down a couple of pylons as if he's going to expand. I really am interested to see if he's going to throw down the Nexus, and he does. So this is going to get it will go down now. We've got the change thing just getting created there. It should get taken out. The Overseer needs to be a little bit cautious. There's not that many units there, but Welmu's got an incredible number of gateways that he's not really using very much because he just doesn't have the money to. The cancel goes down on the Nexus, forced by these Hydras. Yet again, a lot of force fields are being used here, and this opens up the option for really a lot to be done. So now these Phoenix, they need to do a bit of damage, but they've got energy, so you can start lifting up these drones, start picking them off quite quickly. Would be quite a good idea for Welmu because he needs to do some economical damage. We can see that already Bly up to 70 drones to just 49 of Welmu. Welmu does have a decent amount of money, so could go for a bit of a counter push, putting down a proxy pylon. He's warping in a lot more units now, so I don't know if he was intending to force a cancel of that 3rd, but this Overseer coming in yet again saying, okay, he hasn't retaken it, even though I've stopped applying pressure. That probably means a big push is coming on. We also see that the Colossus production has stopped at just 2. No more getting pumped out for quite a while. Instead, just a lot of gateway units coming through. Welmu is going for a really large shove here, and with only really Zerglings and Hydralisks out on the field, it could be incredibly effective. 2 Colossi are going to be doing a lot of damage. They've got extended thermal lance, 7 Corruptors on their way through, but the 3rd base of Bly is going to go down. He's just sacrificing it immediately. May go and look to go for a counter push, but with the mothership core there, that wouldn't work so well. The cancel went down on the base in the center. Bly knows now that he's got to defend this, but with this push coming in, with a nice little bit of, well, walling off with the 2 cannons there and the option for a mass recall if required, then ultimately, I don't see this being too much of an issue at the moment for Welmu, who gets some lovely force fields down. He needs to focus those Corruptors, though. He desperately needs to keep those Colossi alive. He needs to micro that back. If he doesn't and loses it, he's going to be in a bit of a problem here. And we see now with only a single Colossus there, the Hydras will be able to do more damage. The Stalkers won't deal with them well. Meanwhile, a bit of a base race coming on. A couple of units are sitting back. A single sentry getting taken out there. But as long as Welmu deals some quite critical damage, he's got more than enough units as on a quick glance to deal with the units in his base. But he's got to get the recall down relatively soon. He may try and kill some more drones, potentially the hatchery as well. Where is the mothership core? It is just sitting back a little way to make sure it doesn't get sniped off. More Corruptors are starting to fall, and this is turning into a bit of a base race, but there's a lot of Lings here and quite a few Hydralisks. More units coming down as well here. More, and all of these units will just ultimately allow Bly to do relatively well. Welmu really quite low on supply, and I'm surprised he has a mass recall just to save one of these bases. He's lost all of his probes, so he's completely all in at the moment. But if he, I'm not quite sure why he didn't recall earlier, but as we can see, he's just going for it. He's trying to take out the Hive. He does manage to get that. Now goes for the mass recall. He's not going to be able to save this Nexus though, which is what's quite interesting, because without saving that Nexus, what was the point of mass recalling? Because he doesn't have a Nexus down. He doesn't have enough energy to make enough money to make another Nexus. So he hasn't really benefited much by recalling there. But Bly, he's just rebuilding his base. He's got a couple of extractors and a handful of units here. The standing army for Welmu is bigger by a lot. So he's cleaned out everything that Bly has. Neither player has any income. And it's going to come down to the next engagement, really, which, in all honesty, should go in Welmu's favour. He's got such a large army compared to that of his opponent, and there's nothing really that Bly can do about it. He's got a lot of drones already sitting there with the minerals pre-mined. He's got 26 compared to just 2 of Welmu. But Changeling's coming in, just saying like, oh, okay, what kind of army have you got here? Apparently Welmu not noticing that, and this is where Bly will worry a bit. I'm not really sure what Welmu's waiting for. Potentially just wanting to save some buildings and things like that, but ultimately he needs to be a bit more aggressive, because if he's not, then he's going to run into problems. He knows that his opponent's kicking up his base. This game is getting pretty funky, but Welmu should win this, ultimately due to the fact that he's got just such a larger army. 56 army supply to only 17. It would take a long time for Bly to get up anywhere near that sort of force. Even if he starts mining straight away, he's not got very much money. He can get a couple of Hydralisks more, but just every unit he loses like this really does matter. A few Zerglings coming in for a counter push, but the numbers aren't that high. They can try and focus some of this stuff down. There is the energy for the mass recall yet again, so the option is just to send a couple of units through, and that is indeed what Welmu is going to do here. He's got enough energy for 2 pylons as well. So the other option he could have had was just to drop a pylon, say, up here and just go and counter push. But he's coming back, going to try and clean out most of this army, and we can see now that actually Bly being forced to retreat, and Welmu just doing some nice damage, killing a good number of drones. You can see the upgrades are 1-0 against the 2-2. So the drones do have 2 armor against these Zealots, but the Zealots are just going to demolish them. It's not like they're up against Zerglings or anything like that. The Robotics Bay getting taken out, but now with only a handful of drones remaining, yet again the mining down to pretty much 0. The standing army for Welmu is still bigger, and this game is just being fought to the very bitter end. A Hydra goes down there, and every Hydra matters. I cannot stress that enough. Literally every Hydralisk. Oh, so important. A couple more Hydras here getting taken out. Needs to... This is where really being cost effective matters more than anything in the world. But Bly realised after losing that Hydra, he's not going to be able to win it, and GG's out. So Welmu levels out this series 1-1 in a very funky game. If you enjoyed, like the video, leave a comment, and of course subscribe, and I'll see all of you at game 3 of this best of 3, which you can find on my channel. So flick over there, and I'll catch you in a second.